Can I go get a coffee? So, well, tell us then, what have you been up to lately, and what's the latest Big Finish gossip?
Gossip. Well, David should handle this. Because David, what's your role in Big Finish, David?
My role in Big Finish is, well, I'm basically in charge of the scheduling. So in terms of when stuff gets written and produced and post-produced. Can you hear me?
A bit closer.
Yeah. So just making sure that the machine runs. On top of that, I'm also producing the Companion Chronicles and the Lost Stories, both of which are books I like, actually, I have to say.
Now, the Companion Chronicles, if you fill in for people what that is, that's quite an interesting idea. It's a nice sort of concept. So tell us about that, what the Companion Chronicles actually are.
Yeah, they're basically stories told from the perspective of a companion, so it actually gets into their point of view, their frame of mind, and you have a guest actor as well who provides the second voice. And we've done probably about 20 now, with a very broad range of companions doing them as well.
And the good thing is you've been able to use people like Caroline Ford, who, you know, by introducing doctors to Big Finish that you're not able to use in the Big Finish stories, which is a lovely idea.
Absolutely. And I mean, my brief to the people doing them is to try and make them entirely fit with the period. So, for example, with the Caroline Ford one, my brief for that was it had to feel black and white. When you were listening to it, you had to see that black and white title sequence, and everything in your mind had to be monochrome. And David Darlington just got it, didn't he?
David's Fall just short of genius. In fact, no, I think he's moved into the genius territory now. He's just yes, the man is fabulous. Yeah, absolutely funny. He made me sound talented, which is going something, you know. So, Lisa, what have you been up to these days?
Well, I've been directing a couple of quite a few of the Companion Chronicles for David. And I've said before, actually, at a convention. Nice feedback. Oh, there we go. The sun over there. I was actually saying to a convention last week, what's been amazing is that quite a few of the companions haven't recreated their roles since they played them on television. And it's been really interesting seeing whether they can, A, sound younger, but actually whether they click back into it. We were talking about Katie Manning last week playing Jo. She hadn't played it since those early days, and she just slipped right back into it. She was fantastic, wasn't she? It's almost surreal.
Well, actually, what has been interesting, we've had people like Jean Marsh coming back to play Sarah Kingdom, and of course she hadn't played the role since the mid-60s. So, I mean, obviously coming in, she was, you know, probably not quite sure how it was going to be. And yet we got to the end of the first one, and she wants to do a second, and now we've done the second, and she wants to do the third. So she really loves doing them.
And really hard for the 60s ones because there's not, particularly in the Troughton stories, there's not a lot of reference material that the actor can go to look at to try and remind them.
We have been bringing in the DVDs for a couple of them, and some seemed reluctant, and halfway through they go on then, show me.
I have to say, we did one with Trevor Baxter and Christopher Benjamin.
It's out soon, you must get it. It's
playing Jago and Lightfoot for the first time in 30 years.
The talent of Wei Chiang, if I'm not already preaching to the converted.
But I bought the DVD in for that, and we kind of, at the lunchtime, we sat down and we were watching the extras, and we were in hysterics, weren't they? They were just...
Some clever technician had actually lifted all the copies of the behind the scenes. I mean, for those of you who probably got the DVD, you've seen all the extras with the time bar codes at the top, and they're getting it wrong and corpsing. But they, again, just slipped right back into it. They were an absolute joy, and we had a real laugh. It's called The Mahogany Murderers. Out soon, from Big Finish.
Sounds fabulous, sounds fabulous. And John, so what's been happening with Big Finish from your point of view these days? What have you been busy pottering away at?
The most recent things I've been doing are some of the Lost Stories, which this is a sort of separate series of scripts that would have been produced for television for Doctor Who's in 1986. It went on, was it 1986?
Between 1984 and 86, yeah.
And a lot of them coming from the season that was cancelled and then replaced by the Child of Time Lord season, and the most famous one of which is The Nightmare Fair. And Mission to Magnus. Those two were both novelised, so I think everyone's heard of that. But David's managed to unearth loads of stories that I've never even heard of before.
It's been so exciting. We've recorded a script called Leviathan this week, which I'd never heard of. I knew nothing about it. But just after we announced we were doing these Lost Stories, a guy called Paul Finch wrote to me and said that his father Brian Finch had written this story back in 1984. And he sent me the rehearsal scripts, and they were all there. It was an entirely written story, and it's brilliant. It's fantastic. I'd say we recorded it over 2 days this week, and Colin and Nicola absolutely loved it. You know, they thought it was terrific. And it was just so wonderful to see this piece of Doctor Who history that nobody knew anything about just come together. You know, we made it. It's brilliant.
Interesting. So what's been going on with the other Doctors then? Oh, but there's other stuff happening as well. I mean, the good thing of Big Finish is really as broad as it is tall, and then you've got other sort of avenues you're exploring. So have you any other interesting ideas you're coming up with and twists on the Doctor Who?
There's about 3 different Doctor Who titles come out each month. Really, there's a companion chronicle, a double CD from the main range, and at the moment the 8th Doctor 3rd series is going out.
That's right.
What we're doing this year for the main range of Doctor Who's is that it's been grouped into little mini seasons of 3. So we've just all the Peter Davidson Key to Time trilogy's just come out. We're just about to start what has come out actually as a Magic Mousetrap.
Magic Mousetrap is out and is available at the table.
Which is the first of a Sylvester McCoy trilogy. And after that, I think it's...
Can I just add, at the end of each now monthly CD, there is the short... It's 10 minutes, isn't it?
Yes, it's a mini-series.
The 3 companions, which will carry on for the entire year, which is Nick Courtney, Annika Wills, John Pickard, and an actor called
Russell Lloyd.
Thank you. Who I cast, I should know. He used to be in EastEnders, and actually so far the response has been really good. The first part is out on the end of Magic Mousetrap, but that will be continuing for the whole year. So that was great fun.
And a really interesting development recently has been the Lost Season, Colin Baker's season that was commissioned before he sadly moved on for the part. What was the story in getting that? Has that been something that's been in your mind for a while? Is that something you've been trying to get together for a long time?
That was something David put out.
That was, yeah. I don't think I've ever got over the fact that it never happened in the 80s, actually. I think it's stayed with me all of these years. And when I joined Big Finish, I just kind of felt I could do something about it in a way. And I kind of took the idea to Jason, and we were doing a lot at the time. It was hard to get it into the schedule. And I just remember John and I used to ring each other up at I get into work early and John starts early, and we'd ring each other up early in the morning and say, how do we convince Jason to do it? We've got to get it done, we've got to get it done.
In fact, I was halfway through adapting Nightmare Fair before we didn't give him permission.
Oh, did you really? Good for you.